Hey there everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to another episode of Daki Time. So this time round we do have a question for you guys. It comes from a really great guildie of ours. It comes from Az, and I will dive straight into that in a second. This video is going to be probably a tad bit longer than normal because I do have to show you guys a few things and whatnot, and I'm really excited for this question, guys. So like always, if you guys want a question answered or a topic to discuss, leave it in my request tab of my Discord with the @Daki Time starting, and that way I know how you guys want to respond to these videos, or how want me to respond to your questions and topics. It's really cool, guys. So let's dive straight in, shall we? As asked last night, he simply asked, I'd love to hear you talk us through how you have your action bars. I just watched your latest Frost Mage episode, and I've never seen someone stack their abilities on the side. Do they still run off your key numbers? Well, as that is a fantastic question, my man, and I absolutely am excited to dive into this. So, to answer this question and to tell you guys how I've got my UI set up, and more importantly, how I play World of Warcraft, let's dive straight into game, shall we? And with this, I'll be able to explain and point out some things, and to some people, it might, surprise you guys. For others, the acutely astound have really worked it out. So let's dive straight into World of Warcraft, shall we? And I'll explain what it is all about. Okay, so we are in World of Warcraft, and quite currently we are standing above Aram's Stand. It's just a nice vista at the moment. It's actually a little bit overcast and cloudy, but hey, it's a good vista to explain what what my UI is all about and how I play the game. So straight off the bat, the first question you asked was, why do I have my bars or my abilities stacked up on the side there, and more importantly, why I've only got a few abilities down here. Let's get this one thing straight off my back, shall we? Let's talk about this. I am a clicker. Alright, I am not a button pusher. I'm not someone that sets massive amounts of macros. I don't do hover over macros, nothing like that. What it simply means is I click every single one of these buttons over here. I click most of the buttons down here, and for the most part I do use a couple of numbers, but I'm on my Blood Death Knight, so it's actually a little bit more simplified at the moment down here. So I click my spells, every single one of my spells, in all the raids and all the mythic pluses and all that. I'm actually clicking my abilities. So I'll talk a little bit more later on about how that makes me perform as a player in World of Warcraft. I'll talk about that at the end of the video, but let me explain my UI. Let me tell you what my UI is all about. So straight off the bat, you guys will see that it's a very clean UI. Nothing in the road of my character, nothing that's going to interfere from me seeing the world or seeing what the boss abilities are doing or seeing where mobs are and such. I got used to a very clean UI when I was playing World of Warcraft all those many years ago, back in Lich King and Mop and all those other Cataclysm. When I started doing add-ons for my UI, I tried a whole bunch of add-ons, and I started not liking the complexity of it, having to set up add-ons and having to set up the UI constantly. If something went wrong or a patch came in, I had to reset up the add-on and UI. It just got frustrating. So I started learning with the classic UI. This is the standard UI, basically. I do have my portrait down here on the bottom left, and I have my target on the bottom right, and I'll explain why that is in a second. Let's just get over onto the snow here a bit. So you can see that that's how I position my portraits. This is my character is straight in the middle of the screen, nothing fancy. It is very clean. Now the reason why I have my spells over here is because I have my mouse over on this side of the screen the majority of the time to move, to jump around and do all sorts of things. So I do use my mouse to flick turn if you really wish, or turn my camera if needed be, and that's why it's over here. I do use WAS and D to move for the most part, but I sort of implement a hybrid sort of movement where if I am constantly facing a boss, let's say this Winter's Kiss here is a boss. If I'm constantly fighting the boss does not move significantly all the time. So there's no need for me to constantly be moving around and such all the time. So I'll be over here clicking my spells. If the boss dashes off or I need to run over to some ads, I can quickly leave my spells for the GCD, turn around, flick and run. It's something I got used to a number of expansions ago, and I've gotten so used to it now that it becomes second nature, basically. So that's the reason why they're stacked over here and not down the bottom. I did used to use abilities on the bottom bars, but not so much anymore. So let's go through my UI, shall we, and explain what's going on. So from the left over here, I've got utility, I've got the Path of Frost, I've got the Death's Gate, I've got a couple of my professions set up down here. They're just things I use rarely, so I don't need them to be on point. I got my pets, my super awesome pets that I use quite frequently, and I got my mounts underneath that I use. Now moving on, I do have my macros, you know, hold my beer, Daki Time. They are, you know, corny and useful, but I've also got my pull timer for DBM sitting there as well, and I do have my potions and my res on the bottom bar just underneath this. So that is explaining my bottom bars. They are things that I use either rarely or mildly, things I don't need to be on point with all the time, but still accessible. So over here, what is going on with my sidebars? The most important question, and now I will also say, as you are not the first person to ask me this, I've had so many questions regarding my UI and why I play like this. And quite frankly, you're probably not going to be the last person that's going to ask these questions, so don't stress. Now on the side here, what I've got is two columns of abilities. On the left column, if you are paying attention, are mostly my defensive abilities, and on the right column are my offensive abilities. So you can see I've got Gorfine's Grasp and Death Grip on the right. I have my Death and Decay macro, so I do use a couple of macros. This Death and Decay macro drops it right at my feet. This is so much handy, so much more efficient and handy than clicking Death and Decay and placing, especially when you are a clicker. If you're a button pusher or you've macroed these, obviously it's going to be nor here nor there. You can click, drag, place wherever you need to be, and that's why I still have it here. If I need to pull mobs from a distance, I can place it somewhere I needed to place it. I've got all my other abilities, all my main offensive abilities on this side, and I have my defensive abilities on the left. It's that simple. My movement speed abilities are at the top. So, like I said, at the end of the video, I'll explain sort of efficiency, and I know that there's going to be a million questions relating to this, so I'll explain all that a little bit later on. Just on the far left here, guys, where my webcam is right now, you'll see that it's hiding my chat bar. I can actually just move that real quick and show you that that is just hiding my chat bar. That's just there, so, well, for privacy for you guys. You guys can chat to me about anything at any point in time. If I'm recording or not, you guys are not going to spill any beans or talk to someone behind their back or anything. It's all covered. I've also got my damage meter up here. I've also got a damage meter below here as well, a slightly larger one. So I do use SCADA as an add-on and part of my UI. So I can monitor damage, I can monitor healing, I can monitor deaths, I can monitor anything I want to monitor on the fly, on the real time. So that's the base UI. What other add-ons contribute to my UI, and why do I have my portraits down here? Let's go straight into the add-ons section, if I was smart enough, and you can see that I've only got a couple of add-ons. I've only got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 add-ons, realistically. I don't complicate my UI. I don't complicate my playstyle. I like to keep it simple. So other than the advanced interface, deja vu stats, and other than that, the only two major add-ons that I actually use here are cast bars and class timers. That's it. So with my cast bars, this can track my player, my pet, my targeted, my set focus, my mirror timers. It can target a whole bunch of things. So if I hit the configure mode, you can see that is what I'm watching. So down the bottom, my player and vehicle cast, that is what I use to cast, mainly on, you know, your mage, your shadow priest, etc. The Death Knight doesn't really have too many casts other than my mounts, so it's not super useful. But you can see, if I zoom in here, you can see that I've got a pet cast bar, I've got a focus cast bar, I've got a target cast bar. So I can see what the boss is doing at any point in time. I can see what my target's doing, what, you know, my set focus is doing. And at the top here, you've got mirror timers. Now, mirror timers are more for, well, the biggest thing is it used to be useful for your mirror images, believe it or not, on the mage or something like that. Just off timers, basically. And that's why they're at the top of my screen. I don't need to know about them at the moment. So let's go back in here and turn the configuration mode off. The other major add-on that I use for my UI in particular is class timers. Now, I have heard of a lot of people using class timers. It is very simple, very easy, super efficient to use, and anyone can pick it up and use it. So this tracks dots, hots, buffs, debuffs, anything you want to track. So on my Death Knight, as an example, I've really only got a couple of dots that I need to track. It's not super important. I've got a couple of miscellaneous ones that I do track as well, like your Blood Plagues, your Dark Transformations, all that. Now I've also got the racial ones, the Gift of the Naru, extra ones, things that do not come standard with this add-on, and obviously always shown. So I do have a couple of extra ones that I've added to the add-on itself. And what does this look like? Let's turn the lock off on this. It's over on this side of the screen. So what this really is, and I might pull one of these warriors in a second and show you what it's all about. So up here near my abilities, I track everything that's going on with my target. So the dots that are on my target, the debuff that might be on my target, anything to do with my target. So I can monitor these stacks on my Unholy Death Knight. I can monitor so many things. Below here is my player. So in this sort of quadrant right here, I will monitor the debuffs and buffs that are on me. I can monitor my bone shield as an example that are on me and how many stacks I've got. So it's efficient for me to have this close to my abilities, because if I'm looking over here to look for an ability, or I'm spinning, or I'm doing something, I can track it really easy without having to search through all the buffs up here, or have something right in front of my screen that's, clouding what I'm looking at. So that's basically my UI. That is how I utilize my UI. So let's, well, first of all, let me just pull one of these warriors if I can, and I'll show you. So you can see I put a Blood Plague on the target. You can see my Bone Shield on the target. You can see all these things going on with the target. It's all very close, and it's all kept very low on the UI screen. So I can see the majority of what's going on out and around me, and I absolutely love that. So let's talk why I do this. Let's talk, why do I have my UI set up like this? Well, like I said at the beginning, I got used to doing the clicking way back in Lich King. It was just something that I put on the bars, I clicked my ability, I moved on. I started getting used to it. In Kata, in Mob, I really galvanized clicking and using the abilities like I do. A lot of people have said, you can be more efficient with button pressing, you can get more damage, you can, do all sorts of things. That's not the case. You might think it's the case, but it's really not. I pass really high for my Death Knight in raids. I consistently get quite high numbers. I constantly moving out of the bad. Yes, I do make mistakes. I'm constantly interrupting. I'm constantly moving. I can move, I can interrupt, I can pull numbers just as well as someone that is button pressing or using a massive amount of macros or using add-ons to do half their jobs for them. Guys, it's not a case of that clickers or myself in Point don't pass or can't get numbers or anything. It's about how you play the game. And I've said this in a numerous amount of videos, and this is a little bit more proof to that, is that it does not matter how you play the game as long as you play the game your way. Now, I can constantly pull quite decent numbers, tank efficiently, do all sorts of things because I'm used to it. I wouldn't expect someone that uses a lot of button pushing and a lot of hover over macros and things to transform to this style of playstyle and instantly pick it up. This has taken years to sort of master, I guess, if you wish. Like I said, I use a hybrid moving style where I use both the mouse and keyboard to move. I use, clicking. Sometimes I use buttons, but for the most part, that is my UI. So as that is a long way of explaining my UI and how I play the game, I hope that has helped and clarified a few things. And I hope that has clarified a few things for people watching my videos moving forward, that you understand what's going on and where it's going on. So guys, that is the video really. So I would like to thank every single one of you. Actually, before we do that, let's do this. I would like to thank every single one of you for coming and watching this video. You guys make it possible for me to make these videos, and I love making these videos. I absolutely do. So guys, thanks for clicking on this. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs down. Let me know in the comments how I did. Let me know your thoughts on my UI. Honestly, let me know. There's been, over the years, a lot of people that have hated my UI and a lot of people that are very curious on my UI and mostly, more importantly, how I play the game. So guys, enough rambling on. Thank you for coming and watching this video and this episode of Daki Time. And until next time, everyone, have a great day. Hey everyone, thank you so much for coming and watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want to see the rest of these videos and keep up to date with what I'm doing. Thanks all, and see you next time.